The last step, of course, is to analyze the quote, which is the whole purpose of your paper, the whole purpose of making sure that you properly cite your quotes so that you can analyze them. So, an example would be Shakespeare uses some cool word pictures. The first one gives the visuals that Hermione wants her husband to fill her up with praise, just as the tame animals are filled. The next metaphor is one good deed dying, tongueless, slaughters 1,000 waiting upon that. Our praises are our wages. You may ride with one soft kiss 1,000 furlongs air, with spur we beat an acre. So you have the quote there, and then here comes the analysis. This word picture is an interesting take on good deeds and the human need for appreciation and connection to praise. There's also the style of how she keeps questioning him, trying to figure out what he is feeling and what she could have done to avoid this. She is defensive, but it is a justified monologue towards her husband. So, again, you should be placing your quote where necessary, and then telling me, what is this quote saying? What does it mean? Why did you choose to place this quote in your paper? How does it support what you are claiming about comedic elements or what you are claiming about this play? So the analysis should really bring everything together. Here's my quote. Here's why I chose it. This is what it is saying. Now let's get into some formatting. So it's important that you are putting your quotes where they need to be, but as far as formatting, that also has to be well done. So with plays, you have you should provide the act, the scene, and the line in that order, separated by periods. So, for example, Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 5, line 42. And as you see on the screen, it is separated by periods. And of course, you would italicize the play because it is a larger work of literature. So here's an example where I have the quote. Shakespeare starts off with some alliteration when Polonius says, "That's my introduction." I have my quote here: "The wind sits in the shoulder of you sail, and you are strayed for." And then I have cited the play, italicized, the act, the scene, and the lines of the play. Now, of course, if you have multiple lines of the play, you want to put that in your parentheses and, of course, separate it by a dash. When you're citing a quote with 4 or more lines, that's what we would call a block quote. So you would write your introduction, and then instead of putting a comma, you would put a colon, and then you would indent about I believe an inch over, and you would write your block quote, and then of course you want to close it off with the act number, the scene number, and the line numbers. And this is only when you have 4 or more lines. So when you are typing your paper and you decide to use a quote with 4 or more lines, it should look like this in your paper, where it's indented. You started with a colon, and then of course remember to cite your act, your scene, and your line numbers. Now, in this quote, for example, Hamlet is speaking. So I start out the quote with using Hamlet. Now, if multiple characters are speaking in your block quote, you want to make sure that you start the line with the name of that character, just as I have here. And of course, if you, in your works cited, a play from a published book will include the playwright, the book title, the publisher, and the year. So for an example here, I have William Tennessee, A Streetcar Named Desire, Faber 2019, or Shakespeare Hamlet. And obviously Shakespeare's plays have been rewritten, so I put the title of the publisher here, but I include him as the author. So you start with your author. You put the play is italicized because it is a larger work of fiction. You have the publisher, and then you have the year that it was published.